it's Allison here, also known as Lasan Faye, and today I'm here with a brand new Zen Doodle with me video. And I just first off want to apologize for being late with this video this week. I got pretty sick over the weekend. I'm doing a lot better now, but I couldn't film during the weekend. So that's why I'm a little delayed. Again, doing much better. So again, as always, I do these videos in regards to the Zen Art Challenge, and I will include a link to the challenge down in the description below. And also, I will include a link to all of the sources that I use for any of these tangles down in that description. So let's go ahead and dive on into the tangles for this week. All right, the first tangle I have for you all today is called Breach, and it's by Yuru Chen. And with this one, we're going to start off by making a lemon shape, which can be done by making a very wide, fancy U. So again, nice wide kind of cursive U. And repeat on the other side. All right, with that in place, on one side, about 2/3 of the way along the curve, you just want to follow the curve out, around, and down into the center join where the two sides of the lemon come together. And then within that, we're just going to make a teardrop shape that mimics the shape around it. And within that little teardrop shape, we're just going to create a little C in the wide part of the teardrop shape. And from here, we can decorate this as we wish by adding some lines or by coloring in. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one here, but as pictured off on the right, you can see there's tons of ways that you could choose to fill this in. You could choose to double at the inner loop if you want to make it a little bit smaller, so that way it's only contained in half of your lemon shape. There's a lot of options here, so I encourage you all to experiment, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next tangle. The second tangle I have for you all today is called Lacey, and it's from the blog called Life Imitates Doodles. And the way you're going to get started with this one is you're going to start by making a couple of curved lines that go from the left and go down. And as well as some that go from the right and come down. Or you can start from the bottom and go up. And again, consistency and size doesn't really matter. You can actually do this with any size or shape squares or sections that you create. So after you have your guidelines in place, then in each corner, you're going to add a little line that comes out. And then midway between those two lines, you just want to add a line that's perpendicular to the curve at that point. with those in place, then between all these lines that we've now drawn, we're just going to do little connected U shapes that go around them. With that little centerpiece in place, we can actually go ahead and fill that in. So that is it for Lacey. Yeah, so be sure to experiment with different size boxes, all these shaped boxes, regular boxes. Play around with it. I encourage it. But I'm going to go ahead, leave this one here, and move on to the next tangle. The third tangle that I have for you all today is called Jasmine by Simone Bischoff. And this is one I've actually done on the channel before. I forget what day though, off the top of my head. So the way you want to do this one is you want to divide your space into, well, I'm going to do it in a 6x2. Rectangles. So in other words, I've got 6 rectangles across, 2 rectangles going up and down. And I have about 1 square across per rectangle and 3 rectangles going up and down for my vertical. So the way you get started with this one is in every other one, you want to create this elongated integral symbol that you're kind of going to double up. You want to mirror that in the boxes that you haven't filled in yet. And I refer to the pair of these as like little fish fins. And within the fish fins, I'm just going to add some more lines to create some depth and texture. Alright, and with that in place, now on these little intersecting lines here, what we're going to do is we're kind of going to do a little curly bracket between those lines. With those in place, then in the middle of those curly brackets, I'm just going to do an X. All right, so that is it for Jasmine. I still think this is a really beautiful tangle, and I hope you all enjoy this one as much as I do. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. The fourth tangle I have for you all today is called Delish, and it is by Stephanie Skelton. And the way that you get started with this one is you're going to do a line across up top, another one on your bottom, and just create a couple of other lines that echo this, kind of make it seem more like a frame. Then within the two lines that we originally drew, you're just going to make a half circle. Which you could do in one continuous motion. I personally find it easier to do it as two separate motions, as a personal preference. And you're gonna echo this outside of the circle as well as inside. All right, and with those in place, in the center on the bottom portion, you're just going to draw a little circle. And then off to the right, you're going to draw a pair of parentheses that meet at the two ends to form one flower petal. And do another one in the other direction. And another one going up. And also we can do smaller ones that go off in the diagonals. And thereby we can add some details to these leaves. As well as feature in other details into the tangle. For example, meeting the two edges like that. And what you can do going forward is you can tile this with a bunch of others that are similar to it. You can change up the flower in the middle. Make it more elaborate or simpler. Do whatever you want. There's plenty of suggestions off in the image on the right. But I'm happy with the way this one is, and I'm going to move on to the next tangle. The next tangle I have for you all today is called Strymon's, and it's by Emily Perkins. And the way you want to get started with this one is you want to start by drawing a grid. In the example off on the right, it does the grid at a diagonal, but I'm just going to follow the grid lines, or well, the grid dots that I already have. Okay, and with that in place, around any intersection of points, you're just going to want to draw a circle that is of the radius that is equal to your grid lines. Sorry for the slight time skip there, everyone. I realized after I finished drawing in all the circles that I drew too many circles. Because in fact, I wanted this center space in the circles present. However, what I've done is I've gone over the lines I didn't need in white gel pen, and I know that they're still visible. However, in the coloring process, I can guarantee that they will be much less visible. So the way that these are going to get filled in is that in every other quadrant here with inside each circle, I'm just going to go in and fill it in. And then in the other quadrants that we haven't filled in yet, all we're going to do there is we're just going to add lines that echo the curve of the circle going outward. And that is Strymon's. Yeah, I think this is a fun little tangle. You know, I definitely had my struggles with this one, obviously, but I think it's good to make mistakes every now and again and figure out how to incorporate them, or cover them up sometimes, as the case may be. Like, now that this is all colored in, it's hard to tell that I made a mistake. And instead, the mistake details that do happen, they look intentional, and like they belong there. So yeah, overall, I'm really happy with how this turned out. And I'm going to leave this one as is and move on to the next tangle. The sixth tangle I have for you all today is called Zix, and it is by Cindy and Gilles. And the way this one works is we're going to start with kind of a bit of a closed off cane shape. So you know how normally with a cane, how the cane end would be separate from the rest of the cane. Instead, we're going to loop it close and come down to form the long part of the cane, and then curl up into a point and follow the cane line back down and spiral in. You can make that beginning point a little bit closer if you want, and you can choose to pair a lot of these together, kind of to help form a flower. But yeah, I'm just gonna do one more of these. But yeah, it's a nice quick little tangle to do, and as mentioned, you can combine them however you want. There's several suggestions off in the image on the right or in the source link down below. So I highly encourage you to check that out and experiment with this one. But I'm going to go ahead and leave this one here. The seventh and final tangle I have for you all today is called Beluga, and it is by Anya Lothrop. And the way you're going to get started with this one is you're going to start by drawing a polygon, or as the example in the image off on the right is, you start with a triangle. Alright, so once we have our triangle, what we're going to do is with the top edge, we're just going to extend out that top edge and double it up. And one of the suggestions that's made to help make this easier is to rotate the image so that every time you're working with it, you're always working on the same line. But as you rotate around, you just want to double it up again. And rotate a third time. And double it up. And now we're back to our original line. And pretty much we just want to echo that line going across, but now going back behind these second lines that we've drawn. And similarly, we're going to repeat this on the next ones. So that becomes Beluga. I think this one's a really fun tangle to do. I mentioned earlier that you could probably start with any polygon in the middle, so triangle, square, rectangle, pentagon, hexagon, septagon, octagon, whatever you want. But I love the fact that it looks so layered and stacked and like everything's intersecting. So I just think that's really pretty. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave this tangle here. All right, so that is it for another week of the Zen Art Challenge. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And again, if you'd like to see more of these videos, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd really love it if you could give it a thumbs up. It makes these videos easier to find and helps people who also enjoy doing Zentangle or Zen Doodle. It allows them to find this channel to find out about new patterns. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and in the meantime, take care and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.